On this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum, we have a special guest back with us, Jim Tufts. Let's get to it. We're happy to have back with us, Sam Bruno and yours truly, Jim Tufts.
Pleased to be here.
The last time we were together was your final day at Exeter High School.
It was.
As you retired.
It was.
And, well, we're glad to have you back. What's your summer been like?
So I teach at Phillips Exeter in the summer, so I really didn't get a break till August. And then August, it was put all the pieces together, figure out all the different parts of the puzzle, and
the honey-do list.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy on that list. We're doing a lot of cleaning. We've been in that house for a while.
The biggest statement as you move into retirement is, how did I ever work with all the things that I have to do now?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm doing so much cleaning, I'm almost ready to go back to work.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's always some project.
Hello, SAU 16.
Well, you have been busy. Let's get right to it. In our last edition, we were talking a lot of football. All the fall sports now are underway in the Seacoast, and soccer is where you've been busy in the last few weeks.
It's been fun. Every afternoon, Steve Rossetti and the soccer guys have been great welcoming back in, and so every afternoon I'm visiting the Seacoast. I've been to Newmarket, Raymond, Sanborn, Plastow, lots of different places, having a lot of fun.
Overview of some of the teams you've been
Oh, I've seen some good soccer. It's kind of interesting, and as somebody said to me the other day, I've seen some really good soccer at the Division I level, which I've seen for years, but there's a lot of good players at the other divisions. I've enjoyed seeing some of the really good players at Sanborn and the different levels, and which I never did see until the tournaments. So now I'm seeing them in the regular season. So seeing some good coaches, some good play, and
I had a chance to watch Exeter boys the other day, Portsmouth against Exeter, and first look at new coach Dan Curran, and everybody was hustling and moving, and he had everything very organized. What's it like for a new coach? I mean, it's got to be a big change.
It is, and Danny's a little bit like a kid in a candy store, because when he was at Spalding, he was lucky if he got 30 kids out for soccer, and he was teaching kids to play and teaching kids to kick a ball, and not the depth of skill. And so when he showed up and had 118 kids at practice, he called the first day and said, how do I, what are some of the decisions? And so we've talked several times, and they look great. They've done well, and these are kids I've coached, so I'm seeing quite a bit of them and hearing from them. And one of the things that I think has made it easier for me is, Danny played for me and was in the program and has coached against the program. So for me, it's been a great transition to have somebody who has that knowledge and experience, and they're doing great. They've given up 5 goals in 5 games, and that's the formula.
Season started out for the Blue Hawks boys soccer team at 0-2-1, but now they've posted 2 wins in a row. Last game against Portsmouth, they won 2-0. I have to say, again, as a real soccer novice, and the passing between Portsmouth and Exeter was excellent for early in the season. Crisp, short passes. I'm looking at these 2 teams, Portsmouth and Exeter, I'm saying, boy, these teams are going to be there at the end. I mean, they are really, really good. But in the first half, nobody could score and couldn't get close. Is that an early in the season thing?
No, it's soccer. It's soccer. I used to say to the kids, a goal changes a game. More than any other sport, a basket, a run in basketball, touchdown in football, a home run in baseball, that you can come back from all those. A goal changes a soccer game.
Right.
One of our championship games against Manchester West, first one, 2001, and they had 2 kids that were eventually All-Americans. They had about 7 or 8 kids that played college soccer. And we scored in the first 5 minutes, and they couldn't figure it out after that. And goal changed the game. So soccer, a goal is price of gold. And interesting talking about the season. So Danny started 0-2-1. So the first Tuesday he went to Hanover. First Friday he went to Keene. And those are 2 of the top teams in the division. And he called me that weekend and said, hey, I understand why you got out this year. Having to get on the bus and go to those places. So they're fine. Tough start to go to those 2 places the first week, and they're going to be there.
And I read the article in the media the other day about one of the Exeter players who's also kicking for the Blue Hawk football team. Yep. Tell us a little bit about that young man.
Yeah, Nolan's a good kid. It's kind of fun.
His name is?
Nolan Elmore.
Nolan
Elmore. And, great history because his dad was an outstanding football, baseball guy. His uncle Todd was a soccer captain for me. His grandfather was a real good football star back here in the 60s. So there's football in the blood, but Nolan early on went soccer, baseball. And his sophomore year was only sophomore I kept on the varsity team. So he can play. And great kid, great leader. If you look back over 25, 30 years, there's usually a kicker who's a soccer guy.
Yeah, they're usually money in the bank.
So the Spencer tweaked an ankle there early, and Billy called and said, what do you think? And I said, Nolan Elmore.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting for those of us who've made the trip to Keene back and forth to the Seacoast, thinking of the young man going out to Keene to play a soccer game and then jumping in a car, changing into his football uniform to get back for the second half of the football game on a Friday night.
A lot of kids have done that. a lot of kids, including my own and my nephew, that's part of the figure it out, put together the pieces and know where it is. And they were really fortunate last Friday because football was at Keene, and I thought, oh, that's going to be a tough one until I realized that Danny and Nolan were in Concord.
Right.
So it wasn't so bad. They're off the field at 5:30, 5:45, and I bet you he made kickoff.
Police escort.
And remember, always drive safely.
That's right.
Well, that usually falls on mom or dad.
One thing I was going to ask you about is now, since you're officiating, for the novice, what are some of the, we know how football is officiated and baseball, obviously umpiring. What are some of the idiosyncrasies of soccer officiating?
Just keeping up with the play, keeping up with the play and being involved in it and paying attention, and that takes concentration. And it's interesting. So I officiate lacrosse in the spring, and I was a baseball guy, and I fell into lacrosse through Billy and Dave Shannon, and I really enjoy it. And it's really easy to officiate because I have no history with it. And so one of the things I have to be careful of when I'm doing soccer is not paying a whole lot of attention to the strategy. Mm-hmm. When they're subbing and when they're changing formations and because I do have a history with soccer, and so I got to officiate the game. I can't get caught up in too much of the strategies and just officiate the game and keep it going.
And you know all the coaches, so I'm sure there's comes. Oh, Jim, come on! They're giving you a lot on the sideline.
How is that?
They've been great. Coaches have been great, but it's the kids too. I showed up at the field yesterday and. Timberland captains, hey, Coach Tufts, hey, Coach Tufts. And, these are guys that I've competed against for the last 2 or 3 years, or in some cases 4 years, that they've been varsity players. And so, I have a history with them, which is helpful because, they know they know I know the game.
Right.
There's a respect level.
Yeah, there is, which is really nice. And so I do have a little cachet when I walk on a field.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Which is great. Yeah, it's nice.
That's a great thing.
It's nice.
The Blue Hawks, we bring up the football quickly, that they are in a good position right now, kicking off their season.
The first 2 weeks have been impressive.
Yes.
The first 2 wins, but the next 2 weeks coming up are going to really tell a lot about this Blue Hawk team. They've got Merrimack coming up, and Merrimack is always a tough physical team, and that's going to be a home game at Ball Stadium on Friday night. And then they have to go to Nashua to play North, and North is off to a good start with a 2-0 record. So North will be a test as well. So these 2 weeks are going to be important.
And then UNH, let's kick back to soccer for a second. You have been keeping tabs on UNH soccer.
Yep, nationally ranked.
That's right.
Actually, one of the things that's really great about UNH soccer is, if you're a local, you're a New Hampshire guy. Mark Hubbard, the head coach, is an Oyster River kid. 3-sport athlete at Oyster River, and then had a great career at Colgate, and came back, was an assistant at UNH, and then a head coach at Southern New Hampshire, where he had tremendous success. So it's really great for those of us that are New Hampshire soccer people, because he's got a bunch of New Hampshire kids playing, and he's supplemented it really well with some international kids, and they're the real deal. They're the real deal. Off to a great start. I think they're 3-0-2, and the 2 ties, on the road out at Syracuse, and two road ties that were good ties. So they've got Dartmouth coming up and Marist coming up, and they're playing great. And it's, again, you've got Josh Bauer, center back, a Bedford kid, Kyle Brewster, center back, New Hampton kid. The kids up front, Doherty, their primary strikers up front are Jack Doherty from Meriden, Kimball Union, Chris Arling, Wyndham, and Jake Gould, Exeter kid. So it's really fun to be able to watch. We're really fortunate, nationally ranked team, which has New Hampshire kids playing.
Important.
And so it's great.
important.
My son Maddie and I got to watch practice Monday afternoon for a little while, and Mark came over and said hello, and it's just really fulfilling and rewarding to have a New Hampshire kid at the helm of a nationally ranked team, which has New Hampshire kids playing.
Are they playing in Wildcat Stadium or in the adjacent new soccer field?
They're playing in the stadium because of the stands.
Okay.
So the field is ready, and they're using it for soccer and lacrosse, but no stands yet.
No stands yet, right.
Stands and lights are still to come.
Still to come. Okay. And before we move off soccer, we have to talk about Exeter girls soccer, because the Blue Hawk girls are undefeated here in the early season. They beat Keene to open up 8-0. Then they went to Wyndham and beat the Jaguars 3-1. They, at home against Concord, they shut out the Crimson Tide 3-0. And at Portsmouth just the other day, they had another shutout, 2-0. So they're rolling.
They're doing great. I watched them the other day. I had an off day and got a chance to watch them. And Megan's done a great job. And again, it's the nature of Exeter High sports that you bide your time, you play freshmen, you play JVs, and your time comes and you step right in and play. And so she's got a bunch of really good, outstanding young ladies whose turn it is to be varsity players.
Right.
And she's got some returning kids that are leading the way, and particularly Megan Olszewski, the goalie. If you look at the record, they've given up a goal.
Right, right.
And Megan has been the starter for 3 years, and is going to UMass Amherst to play after this. And she's pretty solid, and Bryn Roberts in the middle, and they just got some great kids. But they're not going to give many up.
No.
And they're going to be there.
They'll be there at the end.
They're in the hunt.
They're up there. And I also had the opportunity last week to take in a unified soccer game and watch Coach Sharon Orchard and her kids go at it, and working hard, just not giving up at all. And the Blue Hawks were able to beat Oyster River by a score of 4-3.
Which is a great game. Sharon again does a great job. And in the unified sports, I sort of think that we here at Exeter were at the forefront of unified sports. Billy and Sharon in the winter with basketball, and Sharon and Leisha in the fall with the soccer. They're the gold standard of unified sports.
And you can tell by the number of students that turn out.
Well, and they both Sharon and Billy do a great job of assimilating the coaches and the partners and the partners and the athletes, and they have to turn them away. It's just like it's like football and soccer and lacrosse and field hockey. They can't wait to play, she has she has a lot of wonderful kids
They do.
They do.
playing really, really well.
Yes, yes. And again, I had never seen a unified soccer game before. I was quite impressed with the play.
Well, they're the gold standard.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
both Sharon in the fall and Billy and Sharon in the winter do a tremendous job of those programs. And
I love watching the kids play at the tournament the last 3 seasons, and I'll tell you, it's special.
Well, it's just great, and the athletes get a great opportunity, and the partners are tremendous, and it's a fulfilling and rewarding part of the Exeter High athletic educational experience.
And kind of wrapping up the fall sports, girls field hockey, Coach Deb Grott got off to a little bit of a slow start, losing the first 2 games, but they've come off and won a couple now in a row. So field hockey is off and moving right now.
Yep, and Deb does a great job, and they've got a young team, and they're great teachers. You know, Deb and Kath, and the great coaches that teach the game.
Posted 2 shutouts in their last 2 games, 4-0 against Nashua South and 5-0 recently against Nashua North. So again, you come back like that. Sometimes the kids get down after the first couple of games and right back at it.
Good coaches, good teachers.
Yep.
Good transition.
What's that?
We're going to go from soccer to UNH football.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, UNH football still trying to find itself. The Wildcats kind of thrown a curveball
Yeah.
with the quick illness and the coach Sean McDonald and him having to step aside as
Sure.
head coach,
Right.
and Ricky Santos had to come in and take his place. Baptism under fire is what we said before. He's had to figure out who he's going to have as his starting quarterback, and I think the process is weeding itself out. In the first 2 games that they've had, they started Edwards in the first one, and then Brosmer
Right.
came on.
Right.
It's going to be the real deal coming up for them for the next several games. So
Well, again, I think they have no play. I think things are going to get a lot better because the first 2 games have been too frustrated.
Yeah.
The Holy Cross game, they take the lead late in the game, and then a fumble in the end zone and a touchdown turns it the other way, just like that. I mean, just when you're almost in the locker room celebrating, and bam, it changes in the last 2 minutes, just like that.
And what was upsetting in that game they played against Florida International, that they had the lightning delay. They had momentum going when
They had
that
the lead in
happened.
that game.
Yeah, and all of a sudden the 30-minute delay, and I think it just took something off of it. But they were competitive, no doubt about it.
I would always expect a team like UNH going to Florida to give you 3 good quarters, but then run out of steam in the 4th because of the heat and the humidity and things like that. It's just an awfully tough place to play.
There was a fog. I don't know if you get to see any of it. It was on ESPN3.
It was.
And I had to watch it on my phone. And it wasn't a great picture, but it was like you could see the fog on the field.
Well, Brady talked about it on a post game the other day. He said the heat and humidity at Miami was the toughest he'd ever had experienced, and this was the day before.
Right.
So
So it was a tough weekend to play for them.
Tough place to play.
Now they're coming home for 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So that's the way
Home
to turn it.
cooking.
That's the turning around.
Home cooking.
They've got the home opener against Rhode Island, and then they're going to play Duquesne at home, and then homecoming the first weekend in October against Elon. So let's see
I'm
what.
encouraged by what I saw in
yeah.
that game against Florida. I mean, I sometimes you play those games hoping that you can just be in them, but they
Right.
were in it. I think just that momentum shift because of that lightning delay kind of threw things off, because Brosmer is doing a nice job at quarterback. And
Well, I think as Coach Santos has some time here to install some of his, I guess, aggressive offensive schemes, maybe. I think he's been known to run a lot of weird stuff. When he was quarterback at UNH, there were guys going every which way and a lot of movement and all that whole Chip Kelly stuff that was going on then. So it's going to take some time to get things squared away during this coaching change, during the interim change here.
I'm looking forward to an interesting season from them. And going back to our Blue Hawks, I think the Blue Hawks in their first 2 games have shown that they are defensively a dominant team, and then offensively they've been putting numbers up on the board. So
Well, how many passes were thrown in the last game? Okay, I'm saying to myself,
yeah,
we haven't seen passing like this in years.
Yeah.
But some of the player quotes in the media have said, look, we're fast, and we may be a little small. We may be a little smaller than past Exeter teams, but we're quick, and we're going to use that to our advantage. And
Good athletes. You know, I had a lot of those kids in class, and you know, Ryan Graub and McDonald, and those, they're good athletes.
And take charge. That's we saw that with Ryan on the basketball team too. You know, he's a take charge guy, and I'm looking to good things there. Let's shift gears to the pros. Let's throw a few topics up on the boards here. Patriots. They're off to an excellent start. Their defense is doing well. Did it surprise either of you gentlemen when they picked up Antonio Brown? And what's your thoughts about that?
It's funny, I was officiating with Phil Rowe, local legend here, and that day that Oakland released him, and he said, Patriots will pick him up. We were driving, and he texted me about half an hour later and said, told you. And, so it's such a hard, especially working with high school kids, it's such a hard dichotomy because pro sports are a business. And here's a guy who was a tremendous athlete. I mean, 9 years in the league, 7 times All-Pro. Tremendous athlete. But he's not a nice person.
Right.
And, you know, would you like to be anywhere with him other than the football field? No. But it's a business, and he helps them win football games, and you got enough leadership in that locker room from the coaches to the athletes that
I thought it was funny. A lot of the commentators, Bill Cowher and a few of them, were really, you know, like this isn't fair.
Right.
Well, I mean, if
anybody could have had him.
Well, anybody could have had him, and the fact that if there's only any coach that can focus him, it's Bill Belichick.
And it's not just the coaches. I mean, Bill gets a lot of the credit, but that's a locker room where you know what. You know what the standards are,
Right.
And either fall in or fall out.
Right.
And I thought one of the things that was interesting was there were a lot of teams interested, and there was one that offered more money.
Right.
Oh, there was? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
there was one team that offered more money, and there were a lot of teams in the mix. And he's not dumb.
Yeah.
He wants bling on his finger at the end of the season.
I guess my take on this is Patriots have always been a clean slate team. Okay, if you come in here on day one and you're not a nice person anymore, or you become a nice person when you're here, this is going to work out.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess my educator, my optimist in me says, we're going to give you a second chance. We're going to see if you can do it. Let's see if you can do it. I'm just hoping that if things go south quickly, they cut him quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Patriots would need to do. They can't hang on. I mean, first sign of anything, he's got to go.
Adios.
He's got to go. Yeah. And so, but again, I'm going to take the clean slate point of view and say, Antonio, we're going to give you a chance. Today's day one, okay? See where you go from here. Now, what the legal system is going to do to him, that's another whole situation.
You don't want him coming home to dinner.
Well, I guess Brady let him stay in his house. That was kind of weird. And then all this other stuff came up after the fact. Well, in a related, you mentioned how the pros are just, you know, obviously money oriented for the players. I heard this on the news the other day. I was watching CBS Morning News, and they were talking about how California, the state of California, is proposing in the legislature that college athletes could go out and get agents and go for endorsements to make money.
Right.
Now, the NCAA said, no, I don't think so. If you do this, we're going to take and ban all the California schools from all the tourneys and whatever. They can play, but it isn't going to count. What's your take on that?
Well, it's always been a slippery slope that the big schools, you know, the Ohio States, the North Carolinas, the Dukes, and can profit from an 18-year-old kid's name, sell his shirt, make lots and lots of money, and that young athlete can't sell the shirt himself.
Right.
You know, you had the Ohio State thing years and years ago where somebody sold a game shirt and ended up getting suspended. And so it's really a tough one that the colleges and the NCAA have been able to benefit from these kids, and what they're bartering is, well, we're giving you an education. And it's not apples and oranges.
I'm only thinking that colleges are going to be making more money from television deals now in the next few years because of legalized sports gambling. So that the rights to watching TV, because more people will be watching games because they're betting on them, and that's a fact. The players, again, I know if you go to a top-ranked college, you're getting over $100,000 in education.
Maybe, because they're not staying.
You know, right, if they're leaving.
That's the hook. That's the problem I've got with the whole
They're
package.
leaving early.
They're not really getting the education.
So, I mean, I think a reasonable stipend for a college athlete is certainly
Makes sense.
a good idea.
Makes sense.
I think for them to walk around campus and not having any money in their pocket is awful.
Well, and it now becomes temptation.
Right.
Now becomes,
No, it's true.
how do I get that pizza? How do I take somebody out to dinner? How do I do some of the things I'd like to be able to do?
Right.
And so they find a way, and it's outside the rules, and now they're in judge, and
Yeah, exactly.
so it's not fair.
The education angle is to me, the important factor of all this. If you're going to give a guy or a girl for 4 years of an education for a sport, they got to stay the 4 years. When they just book after the first year or
Freshman
two,
one and done.
yeah,
Not only that,
gotta be a
but you've-
payback or something.
But you've also got people, again, at Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, who stay for 4 years and don't have a degree
Yeah.
because of the demands.
Yeah.
Because of the
Well, that's
demands
it.
of
Travel.
travel.
That's it.
You look at some of these basketball teams in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
They're not on campus for 3 weeks.
Right.
Right.
And so
And you can have all the private
even,
tutors in the world.
right, and have academic counselors and take tests and all that, but getting a college education in 4 years, in and itself, it's a challenge.
It is.
Now you throw on a Division I athletic, competitive, national. It's very hard for those athletes, men and women, who stay 4 years to get the degree at all.
Yeah.
And so I think there needs to be something in the middle.
An adjustment,
Read
yeah.
about this weekend the young man who went to Brewster Academy in Wolfboro. He's from Boston, the Boston area. I think his last name's Clark, and just committed to Kentucky with John Calipari. And so, I mean, you can't get any higher than that. Now, I'm saying to myself, are we going to see him for 1 year, 6'6", power forward, and then he's moving on? So,
I like to see success stories like from New Hampshire, Matt Bonner, kid who's a great player. He's probably the best high school basketball player I've ever seen in all the years I've been doing the Blue Hawk basketball. And then he went through school. He went through the process. Then he got his big payday in the pros and was successful. I mean, that's a smart kid. I want to see more Matt Bonners. I want to see somebody that comes out. The kids don't realize, whether it's a guy or a gal, that if something happens to them, they're fragile. They're merchandise. If their arm falls off, if they're a pitcher, if their leg gets broken, if they're a player in any other sport or any sport, they're damaged goods. Their days are numbered.
Right.
I mean, we're seeing that in pro sports now. A guy gets a hangnail, he's out. He's on the IR because of just the fact that they put so much money into these guys, and they don't want a chance them getting hurt further or being out forever. I wish they'd find a balance somewhere. You're right. The kids should have some way of existing. Nice dorm, and, they're getting their food, whatever. But the money angle with the agents and all that kind of scares me.
Yeah.
That's scary. I think it's scary.
one thing about the NFL, the rash of quarterback injuries in the past week or so, with Roethlisberger going down, Drew Brees going down, Cam Newton is hurt now, Simeon, the backup for the Jets, is down now. All I'm thinking right now is there are going to be a lot of penalties called on defensive linemen because they don't want any more quarterbacks to go down.
Yeah, the name brands.
So, I mean, anybody who breathes on a quarterback right now, they're going to throw a flag on him. So that's something you can watch in the next few weeks in the NFL.
Well, it goes back to the Jerry Maguire. Show me the money, and they got to protect that money.
Well, and what's the average NFL career? 3 years?
Right.
3 years.
Yeah.
So you finish college, you haven't finished your degree,
Right.
and you may play 3 years under a rookie contract if you get a rookie contract.
Right.
It's amazing when you think of Tom Brady and how he's lasted.
tremendous.
I mean, you know, he's obviously into conditioning, his TB12 and all that, and he just has the right mindset for this. He wants to succeed. He wants to continue. He doesn't want to just go a couple of years and get out, or have deals on the side. He's focused, and let's hope he doesn't get hurt, because that could be scary.
Well, he just lost his left tackle, Isaiah
know.
Wynn, for the next 8 weeks. He's going to be on IR, so you're not going to see him until November. And they're bringing in a bunch of journeymen right now to.
Which is sometimes, when you get to the pros, not a bad thing. You get them back in November.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of the season mileage on him, and he's ready to go for the Super Bowl push there.
Yeah, I'm still under the philosophy that we're going to see Gronk about November 1.
It's possible.
I think we're going to see him about November 1.
He has to bulk up a little more, though.
Yeah, he will. That's not going to be hard.
Now, just about pro football, do you have, other than the Patriots, any teams you follow? Or?
No.
No?
No, whatever game happens to be on.
Down.
And I know I'm going to ask this question. Are you into the fantasy football thing at all?
You know, I've never done any of the fantasy sports. I like to just watch. I like to just watch.
Bill Taylor and I give it to Sherm all the time because he enters us in these fantasy leagues.
I gave them a team this year. I set up the Seacoast Sports Forum League. I asked you folks to, join in.
I was with a family Labor Day weekend, and everybody had their draft. Was doing their drafts, and we were sitting on the deck, and literally it was family. It was my son's wife's family and her siblings, and they were all doing their drafts, and I could have, it was like.
Nah.
But let's put it this way: my whole season hinges on the Patriots and their success and health of Tom Brady.
Okay.
Your team, by the way, they have a combined team. I combined a team for Tails and Sam, so it's Tails and company. You're actually 1-1 on the season
I am?
so far.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
See, we're going to enjoy the season regardless.
Oh yeah.
It's
fun. It's fun.
Okay.
I don't take it that seriously. I don't think, and for sure it's not for money. It's just for fun.
I came in today with one observation I wanted to make about the NFL that I noticed in the Patriots game this last week, and I've been thinking about it all week, and it has to do with replay and the new rule about pass interference. And I certainly understand the rule after the New Orleans game that if a call is wrong, you should be able to challenge pass interference to see if it's right or wrong. But in the Patriots game this week, there was a challenge on a no call. And I'm saying to myself, what is going on here where someone in a concrete room with 10 televisions calls down to the coach and saying, hey, they missed that call, you should challenge it. What are the officials being paid for? I mean, what's going on here? And then they overturned and said, oh yeah, that was pass interference. What's going on here? Every play, defensive linemen are getting held. Can you just throw a flag and say, hey, there was holding there. I want you to take a look at it. I mean, I think it's gone over the edge now with this no call, that you can change a no call. That's
right.
Oh, and baseball is, so one of the minor leagues, the Atlantic League, was experimenting this year with the umpire wasn't calling the balls and strikes.
Umpires,
Yeah, computerized on. And so it's because it's hard to watch a baseball game now because you got to go through, did he tag him, didn't he tag him? And the manager's putting up his hand and waiting for the guy in the booth.
Because I'm saying right now,
I'm old
say
school.
you come down to the last play of the game and it's a Hail Mary. Okay, you're going to see coaches now just automatically just throwing the flag just to hopefully
just so you can see it.
Just I want this play reviewed, so everything's going to get reviewed right now. And I'm saying, I mean, if I'm an official right now, I mean, I guess I'm going to start calling everything, because if I was an official and I had a no call reversed, that would look bad at me. I mean, in my side, they get rated and ranked every week. That official who didn't make that call and it got overturned, his score is going to go down. So I think you're going to see a lot more flags in NFL games this season, because I think officials are just going to, okay, if I'm wrong, at least they can overturn my call. But at least I'm not going to get charged with a no call.
No call, yeah. Well, since last we met, the baseball season's wrapping up.
Yeah.
The Red Sox are definitely not going to be in the Fall Classic this year. The big news since we last met was that Dave Dombrowski, their GM, was given the hook, which I had said a few weeks back that would have been my first move. I think he kind of decimated the farm system to try to get a couple of good seasons, which he did.
Right.
But that's it. Now it's like a rebuild. And now the question is Mookie Betts. Do they keep him? Do they trade him? J.D. Martinez, his fate's in his hands. He's got an opt-out. If he opts out, like they were saying on the Major League Baseball Network, he doesn't have many choices. He has to go to an American League team as a DH because he's really pretty bad in the outfield. Maybe a first baseman, I don't know, but he wants to be a designated hitter. So he has to figure that out for himself. Will he just stay with the Sox, maybe opt out a year further down the road? That's his problem. The pitching, I mean, the only one on the market is Porcello, and I doubt they're going to offer him any money.
No.
So I don't know. What's your take on the Sox?
Two things. One is, I think Dombrowski probably needed to move along. But the big criticism is he decimated the farm system. But you stop and look at it, how many of the guys have he traded are in the major leagues?
Right, not many.
Not many. So I think that's an easy target.
Right.
I'm not sure he decimated the farm system as much as people say he did.
Well, he overestimated the bullpen strength. He thought the bullpen was better than it was.
Yeah.
And he ran into some starting pitching arm problems.
Yeah.
Sale shoulder, Price, and so he ran into those difficulties. And unfortunately, the starting pitching, they got big contracts for those guys now. And
Well,
Handcuffs him.
there's a rumor out there that they're thinking about asking Theo if he'd like to come back for an encore
I don't
and
think
rebuild it one more time.
That won't happen.
No.
I don't think it will either.
It's interesting though, because so Kimbrel was the easy one. Sign Kimbrel, now you got your closer. But that money,
And he didn't pan out in Chicago.
yeah, and so I think Dombrowski, for not getting certain people, but who was it he was going to get?
Well, there were some guys that got, he let Ozuna go to, I believe it's Toronto, and then the Yankees got a couple of guys that have worked out for him.
Yeah.
And those guys were on the market, and the Red Sox didn't go get them.
Yeah.
The Yankees are an example this season of somebody that fell into a vat and came up smelling like a rose.
They're the luckiest team in the world.
I don't think their starting pitching's going to hold up in the series.
No, Houston's going to wipe them out.
I think so too. Because I don't think, as much as they can knock the ball out of the park, they haven't got the pitching.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see on the national side of things. I think Dave Roberts, I kind of think the Dodgers have their act together and probably will be
I think so.
Dodgers and Houston will be going after to see who
That'd be a
goes
great
to
series.
to the series,
I think
and
that's
then
what it will
probably
be.
be the Yankees on the. Well, I'm pulling for Cleveland. I like Tito. I'm still a Francona guy, so we'll see what happens there. But the big story about the Red Sox was there was a Yastrzemski playing left field.
That was cool.
For the first time since 1983.
That was really cool.
Mike Yastrzemski of the San Francisco Giants, grandson of the great Yaz, comes to Fenway Park.
And it's a home run.
And hits a home run.
I think all of us have a 1967 memory that involves Yaz, okay? My 1967 memory involving Yaz was a freshman at UNH in Sawyer Hall with an 18-inch television and about 50 guys in a room on that Saturday game in Minnesota, the Saturday of that last series against Minnesota. You were okay?
Yeah.
And he hits that home run in that ball game. So that's my Yaz memory right there.
I never got to see his final game. I was on the road coming from Maine down here to New Hampshire, so I got to listen to Ned Martin or whoever was doing the play-by-play at the time. Saw obviously the film and tape afterwards on the news, but it wasn't the same as actually watching the game. But it was kind of cool to watch. Last night they had Mike, his grandson, and Yaz walking in the outfield. And I guess tonight Yaz
He will be there.
Is gonna. Well, I think he's gonna throw out the first
Is he?
pitch.
Good.
Yeah,
Good
that's
for
what I
him.
heard.
Good for him.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought last night's television broadcast, one of the best parts of the conversation was who's the most impactful Red Sox of all times. Now, on the surface, you got to look at Ted Williams and say nobody was better.
No, right.
Right.
And then you got Poppy, who had this tremendous success and has helped him with all these titles. But Eckersley and Remy and those guys felt that Yastrzemski was the guy that put him back in the seats.
He was there through the good, the bad, and the ugly.
But he was the one
He
that
saved baseball in Boston.
He did, that he brought baseball back.
Because I was there in 1966 with Don Budden, Okay, and I know what that team was like in '66.
The great Jess Kane, radio announcer for WHDH, came up with the song Carl Yastrzemski. I
Yeah,
wish I had a
no, I
copy of
remember
that
that.
to
Yeah,
play.
I remember that.
And the other thing was, anybody ever buy a loaf of Yaz bread?
I can't say
I
that.
can't say.
Sunbeam, I think, or one of the
They did.
local companies
They did.
came out with Yaz bread. I told my wife about that. She goes, huh?
See, Sam and I overlapped at UNH, but my Sox memories were the boys at the house
Yep.
getting together and going to watch Vida Blue against Sonny Siebert.
I was there. I was in center field.
Okay, we were
Okay.
behind home plate.
Oh, okay. So you have better seats.
But it was a spur of the moment.
Right.
But it
They
was
were both
that
8-0 and something
yeah,
like that.
No, it was
that
tremendous.
That was
but,
a big night.
But again, Yaz was that catalyst that made baseball relevant again.
Right.
We used to be able to walk in and sit in center field,
Sure.
minutes before the game.
Right.
Can't do that anymore.
No,
I'd love to have seen some of these old timers that put up with some of the worst teams, and going back to the early '60s, like Yaz, if they were able to just sign to a one-day contract when they were in the World Series and had a shot at winning, so they could get a ring. I mean, they came so close in '67. It was exciting for all of us, but it just didn't happen. And then '75,
78.
78. I'm sorry, '78.
Lucky freaking dent.
Well, no, but '75 with Carlton Fisk
Yeah,
and Yaz, and that was, they were so close.
75 Game 7, I was there.
Were you really?
I was there.
Yeah.
And
I was
one of
in-
my buddies was in law school in Boston.
Yeah.
And after Fisk hit the home run, again, no cell phones.
Yeah.
6 o'clock the next morning, I called and I said, Johnny, we got to go to the game.
Yeah.
He said, I'll meet you. He got me in.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that was a series. And then Carlton Fisk, obviously, New Hampshire legend, and and Yaz and that team. Well, I wish they all could have had rings. That team deserved it. That was the one that got away. The other topic I wanted to throw at you today, actually, I got something I wanted to show you.
All right.
Bob, I'm going to throw it up on camera one. I want to see if you remember this. I was getting some copies done, top copy, a ways
probably
back,
name you.
and this is a picture that's
Probably
on the
name you
wall
most of those guys.
at top copy. Now, I was told was your first team?
I was a junior at UNH, and I wanted to get in I decided I was going to teach and coach, and so I volunteered for the Exeter Bantam travel team. And there's some notables in there. You want to see a real notable?
Yeah. Whoops. I'll bring it down so you can see it. Matter of fact, let's do it on this camera. Let's do the side shot here. This is too technical for me, Bob.
put it back on the
All right,
front.
let me put it up
Put it back
front.
on the front.
Yeah. All right.
So right here, with the big squash, is Coach Skip Swazinski.
That's Skip. That is Skip. I didn't recognize
Skip
him.
Swazinski.
Wow.
And number 5, Dana Barbin,
There he is.
head coach at Phillips Exeter
Yeah.
Academy. So they're two of the most notables in there.
Nah.
I can tell you the rest of them, but as far as the town goes, there's a couple of coaching legends right there.
Well, I was going to ask you. I heard the story is that you have a cast on.
I do. I got a cast on my left leg.
On your leg, which is hidden.
Yep. And so tell a story here. So I had met Leslie, my wife, at Christmas time. We had kind of started to get together, and we hadn't had a real date. We came back in January, and I said, hey, let's go out to dinner Saturday night and this, that, and the other thing. And I said, but I got to coach a hockey game first. So before she and I went out on our first official
The writing's
date,
on the wall.
Yeah.
first date, she
Priorities.
watched Skip and Dana and Chippy Jocelyn and Ricky Bass and Ronnie Levis and the boys play hockey.
That's
So
funny.
she knew she was in it from the outset.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. That was a lot of fun. That group of kids,
And that was at an academy rink?
that was at Phillips Exeter Academy,
yeah.
and they played
that.
they played in the New Hampshire League and they played in the Mass New Hampshire League. And over the course of 60 games, they lost 5.
Ooh.
They lost 5. That was a great group of kids.
Well, thanks to my buddy at Top Copy on Portsmouth Ave for giving me a copy of that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I said, I'm going to be seeing Jim soon, and this is, I want to spring on him. And I'm happy we were able to do that. 2-minute drill time, gentlemen. So this is where, if you've got anything you'd like to throw in about any sport, doesn't matter. Do you want me to give you a chance to think? I'll let Sam go first, or Sam, do you want to have Jim go first?
Well, I think for me, I was going to just mention the fact that I think the Red Sox general manager thing. I think the Red Sox need to bring in a general manager who is going to take care of the bullpen first. I mean, the bullpen was in such a mess this year, and I think they need to clean house totally, restock the entire bullpen, and if that happens, I'll be happy for the 2020 Sox.
Jim?
You're going to watch the 2020 Sox anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you watch them no matter what. I mean, it's like,
I just think it's a great time of year. I mean, it's we can look out these windows and it's a beautiful day, and you got high school sports with, great participation, great coaches. The colleges are starting. You've got a nationally ranked soccer team. It's the fall in New England with the weather and the level of athletics is a great time to be here.
amen to that. Amen to that. And we've got a beautiful start to the fall. So,
Right.
My words of wisdom come from Bill Belichick this week. Off to a great start with the defense, and after the game the other day at the press conference, one of the press asked him, what about your success? And well, let me see if I can put this up to the microphone so you can hear it. Coach?
You don't let us score, you can't lose.
One more time.
You don't let us score, you can't lose.
There you go. So that's the key. That's the key to the Patriots' success. All right, Bill. Thank you.
If you don't score, you can't win.
Well, that's right. Well, that's right. So we'll see how that rolls. Yeah, it's a fun time of year, and we're looking forward to having you come back with us.
Well, you know where to find me.
Thanks, Leslie, for letting you off for a couple hours so you can come here and play with us instead of having to clean. I know that tune. Believe me, Sam. We've got to get people involved with us, so I want to mention our different websites. They can go to Facebook, obviously. They can see the show on Facebook, the Seacoast Sports Forum. At Twitter, it's Seacoast Sports 1, and the email is seacoastsportsforum.extv@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Again, if you've got your cell phone with the camera at a game, you want to take some highlights, we're working with Doug York at Exeter High to get some highlights of the different games, the soccer and field hockey, anything that's going on up there, obviously football. And that's another thing, thanks to Doug and Rusty and the gang up there, the crew that put the football games on Friday nights with Coach Taylor. He'll be there Friday night for the next game. And we were able to go on after the game and do a little kibitzing for the show here, Seacoast Sports Forum. So thanks to Doug and the gang up there at Exeter High. We look forward to doing that again. And I guess time to adjourn the meeting, gentlemen. Until next time, this is Sherm Chester for Jim Tufts. Whoops, I got to get my camera right. Sam Brew and Jim Tufts, Coach Jim Tufts.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Seacoast Sports Forum. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.